If you think you made it by just going through fire academy or going through your recruit school, that is the minimum standard. The minimum standard, which is one step above fail. And if you're okay with that, you're part of the problem, right? Being minimum standard and say, hey, I made it. I learned everything I learned and I'm good to go. That is naive, irresponsible, and pretty plain stupid, right? It's like counting to infinity. You're never going to learn everything. Kind of like in jiu-jitsu, you never stop learning.
All right. Hey, what's up? Relentless Rejects Podcast, episode 24, first in-person recording. I'm looking down on my computer because it's down here, but the camera's actually right here. So there's probably going to be a few bloopers. We're just going to have fun with it. My guest today, if you don't know him already, Marcos Orozco, creator of the Hardknox Sunday, well known in the fitness space. He's also an instructor. He travels the country teaching and making everybody better. And that's about as much of the bio I'm going to read to you, brother, because I'm sitting right in front of the man. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Good to be here.
So for the people that haven't listened to the previous podcast, I've said it before. You literally live 4 minutes away from me.
4 minutes. I could have walked.
And yet I've only worked out with you like 1.5 times.
Yep.
Hey, we're working on it. Absolutely, man. Yeah. Every day. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff too, about the work you put into other people. But I do have to make an announcement. Before we dive deep into all this stuff, this is the first sponsored Relentless Rejects podcast. I think just because I got Marcos on here, but the boys from 48 Straight Supplements, if you don't know them, they're out of Houston, Texas. John Chambliss, I had him on episode 20. If you want to listen to his story and all what the company's about, go back, listen to episode 20 of the Relentless Rejects podcast. But first, let me talk about 48 Straight Supplements. It's a firefighter-owned and operated brand out of Houston, Texas. Their motto is designed by us, for us. They have iron greens, which are right here, which I personally use for gut health, probiotics. Your gut health is your gut is your second brain. You got to take care of that. They also have a better BCAAs line. You just add it to your water for all-day hydration. And I also have one of their pre-workouts, Ignite. So Ignite is something that you can take on duty or off duty. It's one of their less intense pre-workouts. I personally love it, especially with the type of workouts that I'm doing. But if for those days where you're going heavy and you need an extra kick, extra boost pre-workout, try out their High Rise line pre-workout. It's pretty nice. Top it all off with creatine monohydrate for proper recovery. Whatever the day calls for, let 48 Straight help you change the culture of your firehouse and get to work. And on top of the sponsorship, the Relentless Rejects listeners now can save 10% using the promo code RR10 at checkout. So please use that promo code, help out the podcast, help out 48 Straight. It's just firefighters helping firefighters, brother. So thank you, 48 Straight, for sponsoring this podcast. And without further ado, Marcos, you personally don't use a ton of pre-workout, do you? I don't think you need to. You just have a savage mindset.
Trying to be in gear for an hour to 2 hours. I'm not trying to get cardiac issues, so I don't need the pre-workout.
Yeah. So
workouts.
How long you been in the fire service? For quite some time, right?
A little over 16 years.
Okay. Before you got into the fire service, because we'll get into where you started, but you told me that you've been into fitness since the age of 12.
Yep.
When your dad bought your first gym membership.
Yeah, he made me a deal. He was going to the gym all the time, and I had all the magazine cutouts of all the freaking workouts and all this stuff back in the day. And he said, "I'll buy you a gym membership, but you have to go every day." And then I interviewed him a couple years back, just kind of get a feel for my growing up out of his eyes. And he told me, he's like, "You literally went every single day. Some days I rode my bike there and back home. Some days he dropped me off and I ride my bike back home. But he's like, you literally never missed a day." So that's where it all started at 12, thanks to my dad.
Is your dad pretty savage or what?
Savage in his own way.
Yeah?
Yeah, a little different than I am, but okay. Yeah.
I had the same thing. But my uncle was big into like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that stuff back in the day. And I always wanted to do heavy lifting because I watched him do heavy lifting in his garage, ironically, where you kind of do yours. But he told me, he's like, hey, when you hit 13 is when I'll start taking you to the gym and all that stuff. And he same thing, introduced me to the world of weightlifting. It took me a while to get out of the bro lift phase. I'm just now starting to get out of it, working out in gear and doing more endurance type lifts.
Yeah.
Because I played sports, you played sports,
Yep.
but sports took you into your college career and other stuff like that, right?
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in Texas, so everybody knows anything about Texas. They know football is king. So I played football, baseball, and ran track in high school, and then I ran track for Arizona State for my freshman year.
Whoa. Yeah. What was your event?
400 and 4x4.
Damn.
Yeah. I was like 20, 30 pounds lighter. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would have figured like fucking powerlifting or something like that. Or what's that one where you're like,
yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
No, it's cool, man. But you walk away with a degree, right?
Yep. Yeah, I got a bachelor's in exercise science and kinesiology.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and that just built on to the credibility of the stuff that we're going to touch on later about like fitness programs and stuff would lay you to Hardknox. How'd you get into the fire service?
Honestly, the only intro I had to fire service growing up was my mom's best friend's husband was a fireman. That was the only intro I had to it. I didn't have any family members. I didn't grow up wanting to be a fireman. Just was bartending, slinging drinks after college. And then I said, you know what, I probably should do something grown up, air quotes, and don't want to be that 40-year-old bartender. So had some friends that were firefighters, and I kind of just looked into it. And then here we are 16 and a half years later.
Were you serving drinks in Texas?
No. So I graduated high school in Texas, went to Arizona State, which is in Phoenix, Tempe area. I was there for 7 years bartending there. And then I moved down to South Beach in 2003. And that's where I was slinging.
How'd you end up in South Beach? Just
my cousin was living there.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, you want to come down here? I was like, yeah, I've never been. Just graduated college. Don't have a job. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we talking like some wild times for Marcos back then?
Yeah. It was crazy back then. Back when South Beach was cool. South Beach is ghetto now. It was cool back then. Yeah.
That's crazy. A lot of people that I meet in the fire service, at least like a little bit older in their career, they always seem so disciplined, self-motivated, and seem to have all their shit together. But pretty much everyone has this phase earlier in their life where they just went wild and crazy and just lived their life. And I think it benefited, right? Because you kind of get it out of your system a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, work hard, play hard, right?
Yeah. For sure, man. Well, you just came back from Texas.
I sure did.
Where were you at?
I was in Houston. It was my first time being back home in my home state to teach. I was teaching at the Castillo Way Conference.
I've heard that was such a powerful event.
Brother, man, like I was telling, that's why I made a video, man, because it took me a while to get my thoughts right. I had heard about like the Daggum boys and the Daggum conference, how awesome that fire conference is. All my buddies that teach all over the country, they say that's the best conference they've ever been to because of the brotherhood, the love, the passion. And I experienced just a fraction of that. They told me a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, in Houston for the Castillo Way conference. And I was like, dude, this is insane. Like nothing like it anywhere in the country. And I want everybody to experience it. And I want everybody to get an opportunity to go because it was something special. And I can't wait to go. Hopefully I'll go in May for the Daggum Fire Conference with those guys. Kevin Pfluger, Tom Hollick. Those guys are next, top-notch guys. And I don't know if it's a combination of the Southern hospitality from Texas because, that's where I'm from. That's big in Texas. Those guys are something special. Putting on the conference for Jesse Castillo. He had stage 4 cancer in his lungs, and he was out there every day getting after it. And just all these instructors got invited from all over the country to come help a brother. And none of us got paid. We were all there for free, just trying to raise money for Castillo and his family, man. It was pretty special, dude.
Yeah, I just recently texted Kevin Pfluger, right? Because you hear his name, especially with a lot of the Daggum and stuff going down south. And I said, hey, man, I keep hearing about Castillo Way. Just from guys in my personal group text of Into the Job Firemen and people I've had on the podcast that were there.
Yeah.
They said it's something special. And then Kevin Pfluger, I just basically was like, hey, man, like, salute to you, brother. Like, you're doing some awesome stuff. And he's like, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I don't know what it is about Texas either. And
I mean, I'm from Texas, so I had a special place in my heart for those boys. And like I said, being back there for the first time ever to teach was pretty freaking epic. So I can't wait to go back to Texas some more and hopefully share my passion with my home state.
I'm surprised it's the first time. Like,
I know.
Was something keeping you from there?
No, just hadn't had an opportunity.
All right.
And then Kevin called and I don't know, a couple months ago and was like, hey, would you be interested? I stood before he even finished. I'm like, yep. I don't even know what you're asking, but yep, I'm in. Whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll make it happen. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know what's crazy though is because I bring you up a lot in conversation because I'm admitting my own like failures when it comes to fitness, and I use you as an example.
Great.
But because I talk about you, like people that were at the conference are like, "Hey, I just got to work out in with Marcos,"
Yeah,
and I'm
dude.
like, "Yeah, man."
And that's another thing, man. It was something special. Like the 2 mornings that we're there, we had a 5 o'clock workout both mornings, and we were up till like, I don't know, 11, 12, hanging out after the conference, teaching and all that. And 16 to 18 people every morning got up early and worked out with us, which was something special.
Yeah.
It was pretty epic, man. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. How can you like, what was the most memorable moment for you when you were down there for that event?
Man, just one.
Because like I said, I keep hearing about the powerful moments
right?
down there. I'm just trying to feed off of it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let me put it in perspective, right? I didn't know a single person there. I had never met anybody in person. The only person that was going to be there who had to back out last minute was Logan, my buddy Logan.
Yeah.
And we're going to be roommates. Other than that, I didn't know anybody in person, just through social media. And so that was one, right? I showed up, didn't know a single person, and it was like I'd known these guys for years, from instructors to and like they grouped us up into smaller groups to teach our stuff. We were teaching truck work. They put me with 3 other guys. I knew one of them through our circle of friends, Remy. We had the same circle of friends, so we had talked and stuff, but we had never met in person. Then another guy from Florida, another guy from Sacramento, and man, we clicked, and it had been like we'd been teaching for years, like 10 years together. Just click, boom, 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 boom. And that's how everybody was just clicking. It was just such a brotherhood that was crazy. And then I had so many people come up to me like, "Hey, man, I'm on your Hardknox program. Whether it's the hitters or the heavy, you keep rocking it." And it's like super humbling, man, right? Like, hey, can we get a picture? And I'm like, dude, I'm nobody. I'm just a dude that likes to work out, and that's it. But just like little examples of that throughout the entire conference. And then the last night, Sunday night, my flight kept getting delayed. So I was like, I'm not going to miss my flight and have to Uber back an hour, sleep in the airport. So I was like, screw it. I just switched it to that Monday morning. And last minute, we went to a Limp Bizkit concert, like 15 of us, Limp Bizkit concert. I grew up with Limp Bizkit, at Arizona State and stuff. And so that was super memorable, like 15 of us hanging out, going to Limp Bizkit concert. Just examples like that over and over and over. And just the love, man, and the brotherhood.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. Everybody's there just sharing their passion, man, wanting to help everybody get better.
I mean, that's pretty wild. I mean, would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I mean, I think people would say I'm an extrovert.
Extrovert? Okay. Yeah, because I think a lot of firefighters, when we're around people that are not first responders or in the fire service, I think we're kind of, we have a hard time socializing. Well, we come off as wild, right? Yeah. Just because of the type of people that we are. But then when you put us around like-minded individuals, man, it's just like we just gel.
Yeah, man.
Like going from showing up and not knowing a single person to going to a Limp Bizkit concert.
Yeah, brothers for life. And I mean that like with all my heart. Like I got brothers for life after that conference. Beautiful. And like I said, instructors and students, from all over. Like I had these guys fucking from Arlington came out, man. My boy Vito and these guys, Victor, dude. I mean, they were just awesome and just ready to get down and dirty, man. It was awesome. And like I said, my group was like Remy, Mason, Marty, Noe, Lopez, man. We clicked like we'd been teaching for 10 years, man. It was awesome. Yeah. And I got to meet cool ass people and do cool stuff all day.
Dude, that's what it's all about though. You know what I mean? Like I know Castillo Way was specifically for Castillo and all that stuff, but like just going to the outside trainings and putting yourself in environments like that, it's extremely powerful. I think that's why people never stop talking about going outside of the walls of their departments.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So what would your message be to somebody that's kind of hesitant on going to those trainings, or maybe their department doesn't pay for them and they don't know if they should pay out of pocket, if it's going to be worth it or not?
100%. You're just investing in yourself, right? So if you take this job seriously, you're just investing in yourself, whether your department pays for it or not. Excuse me. That's not an excuse. And I would say, do it. You need to get out, and there's so many great instructors all over the country, and that you're going to learn something every day. And like we were joking around, like we learned so much from just the students from these 2 days. It was nuts. And then from each other, all the instructors, we're learning stuff that, we just teach stuff different ways, right? And I was like, ooh, I like that. Or, hey, that's kind of different, and then you pick up what you like and then you try it. And if you put it into your repertoire teaching, and it's cool, man. And nobody invented anything, right? So it's just, we're just passing on what was taught to us. So if anybody says they invented something, they're full of shit. I'm just sharing what was taught to me. And if you like it, cool. And if it works for you, cool. And if it doesn't, hey, no big deal. Find something that works for you.
Yeah. Well, what did you teach specifically down there?
So we were teaching truck work, and we were teaching civilian drags, drags to the window and how to get them up and out of the window onto a ladder.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So you and I touched a little bit on being an instructor and teaching, like based on stuff you've learned on the job or got out at a conference or something you read in a book. Mm-hmm. But the thing you sent me is that you wanted to talk about is like what it means to be an instructor and to teach. Like, what did you mean by that?
So, I was told by Spira a long time ago, it's our responsibility. It's our job to show them what's possible. And that's ever since he told me that years ago, it's like I take that to heart, right? Because we can impact a student positively or negatively, and we could totally change the course of their career, right? Some of these people have never had a positive male figure role model in their life. We could be that, right? I take it very seriously, and I love teaching. I love sharing what's been taught to me. Because, when we were growing up, we had instructors that like to yell just for yelling's sake. We've all had those instructors, right? And then, or they're fat and out of shape, right? Just on the sideline yelling at you to do stuff, do what I say, not what I do, right? Mm-hmm. So like, how did that affect me, right? All right, well, I definitely don't want to be like that, right? So I pride myself in like being able to do the job and being able to show the skills that I'm teaching these people as well. I don't want to just be the guy on the sideline, just to do what I say, not what I do, right? And I still to this day get texts almost every day. And this is not to brag. I'm not bragging about myself, but just the impact that I've made on students in Florida. Like, hey, I got hired with Miami-Dade. I started Academy, blah, blah, blah. Or, hey, I graduate. I was talking to one today. He's like, I graduate October 11th, man. Thanks for instilling that discipline, that fitness. Everything's changed since I started working out in gear and stuff like that. So those kind of texts obviously make me feel good, right? But it's also reinforcing of what I'm doing is having a positive impact in the fire service. And that's freaking awesome, man. So some of these guys just do it for a paycheck, and, we can't change that. I can't change that. I can't change you wanting to be in the job, But for those of us that take it seriously, we just love sharing our passion and want to help you get better if you want to get better, man.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Like where we're at in Colorado, the North area, we actually have cadre members that want to make an impact to the cadets that are coming in. I think certain departments struggle with the fact that sometimes it's a voluntold position.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talk about that every day, right? So all across the country, we all know training's like a 2-year punishment, right? You get promoted, boom, you go to training. And I talk about this all the time. Why put people in training that don't want to be in training, right? It's only going to make your department suffer, right? Mm-hmm. Put the guys that are passionate about it. Who cares if they're not promoted? Just because you're promoted doesn't mean shit, man. It just means you can pass the test, right? So put the guys that are passionate about it in training. Make training a desirable position, because that is the most important position of the department, right? Training affects everybody, right? So have the guys and gals that want to be in training, have a passion for training, and are actually good at it in the training position. I talk about this all the time, man, because I love training. I love teaching.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. You got promoted. Now you got to go to 2-year fucking punishment and training. They're going to half-ass it, man. Yeah. Nobody's going to benefit from that shit.
Right. And then they're not investing in it. So they're just teaching the IFSTA book
100%
training module or some PowerPoint that was made 20 years ago. Yeah.
You might have a guy that was from the ambulance to an officer seat, never rode back step forever. I mean, that's just an example, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about that forever because it's kind of what we're dealing with right now, right? So I think training is like the most important position. We got to change that.
Yeah. So how many academies have you been involved in as a cadre?
Colorado or Florida?
Well, let's do Florida first.
Florida, man, I've been teaching since. So this is what I liked about Florida. Florida, you had to be a career fireman for 6 years before you could become an instructor, which I find value in that, right? Because I didn't know shit growing up for the first 3 to 4 years. First of all, I didn't even take this job seriously for the first 3 or 4 years. So I definitely didn't know shit. Shouldn't be teaching anybody anything. And I didn't start getting into it till like 5-6 year, right? So that I liked a lot. So I started teaching in 2014 because I got hired in 08.
Okay. I had a similar thing. I'm not teaching,
right?
But I want to work myself toward that.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I loved having a conversation with you, because like we were having a cup of coffee at a coffee house, and I told you, I was like, yeah, man, I like created this training thing on search and all that stuff. And I was going to say, like, if they want me to come into training and teach this stuff, and he's like, and then you said something to me. Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
All right. I want to hear it from your voice. Like, what was your thought? And then what did you say to me?
I mean, I I'm going to try to remember what I said, but I think you got to do the work first and then let your work speak for itself, right? Because like I always say, being into the job and being good at the job are two different things. Like I know tons of people that are into the job and have all the swag, but they're not good at the job. And that's, could be followed on, could not be followed on, but it's two separate things. Being into the job and being good at your job are two separate things.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I remember
absolutely. So that was my thing, man. Because I think a lot of us into the job, firemen, the people that we talked about going outside trainings, and like what they said at fireman shit, like we're spreading the poison, right? So yeah, you get that. You take the red pill, right? You're unplugged from the matrix, and now you're like super into it. You're listening to the podcast, you're reading the books, but like you said, like, hey man, you gotta go put it in your own skill set, put it in your own toolbox, make sure it works. Use it on like in a real scenario before you think that you can just create this like training template and be like, hey, I learned this at a conference and I did it a couple of times.
Right.
So now I'm going to teach you guys how to do it.
Right. And there's a difference, right? Like your whole approach, right? Like, because I like when people send people to conferences, like, and it's paid for by the department, and then, create a PowerPoint and just teach us what you learned. You're not necessarily teaching us how to do it. You're just teaching us what you learned. So you're also giving back to the department and everybody else that could go. So there's a difference in that, right? In your approach, right? Staying humble. Hey, I'm not an expert at this. This is just what I learned. These are the notes I took. Cool, whatever it is. Just want to share it with you guys since you guys didn't get to go, but I want to pass that on. By no means am I an expert or whatever it is, right? So it's just your approach on everything.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you just said was humility.
Yeah.
If you go up to your training chief and like, hey chief, I'm obviously not the expert, but you paid for me to go, or I went to this. I would love to bring it back and bring back some value. If it hits, like please let me know. But just so you know, I'm not the subject matter expert.
For sure.
I would just love to be able to teach this because, as they say, right, like you can read something, you can execute it, but if you teach it, that helps lock it into your own mind.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going out there and you're teaching it for the first time, you're probably gonna like fumble fuck it, right? Like, and you're like, how'd this go? All right, hold on. And then you got to do it yourself. You're like, oh yeah, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there's value in it, but like you said, the approach.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, I'm gonna go to training and be like, I'm gonna teach this because I went to a conference, now I'm the expert.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm gonna like go to a volunteer department and be like, hey, you pay me this much and I'll teach you this, even though same thing, right? You haven't put in the work.
100%.
Yeah. Great message.
Yeah.
If you don't have the humility, then your approach is probably all wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, because you're known for fitness. You've been in the fire service for 16 plus years, but you also said that you've been training in gear for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I came up in an era where, the PFAS and don't get in your gear and cancer and all this other stuff. But I don't know, you being in Florida, that might have been different. But I think it was something different for you that you felt like you had to get in gear for a specific reason.
Yeah. So, I grew up in Florida. Well, I didn't grow up in Florida, but grew up in the fire service in Florida. And I think being around guys that were like Florida smoke divers and stuff like that, kind of way back when, kind of put it in my head that I need to get in gear, right? And we all know, anybody that does anything in gear knows it's a great equalizer. And then living in South Florida, hot and humid, that's a whole nother equalizer too. So yeah, man, I like videos pop up of me working out in my first apartment, sometimes by myself in the bay in gear, and people just looking at me like I'm crazy. But I also think I kind of take things to an extreme. I have that addictive personality, being sober for over 13 years. So I know I replaced drinking with doing extreme shit regarding fitness and all that kind of stuff, right? So anybody that knows me is like, oh yeah, we're going to do a workout. Well, Marcos for sure is doing it in gear. It's not even a question. Like I have guys that work out and they're like, do I need to, I already know the answer. Yeah, I'm going to get my gear. So I think that's kind of how it all started, like 15 plus years ago, about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And nobody knew anything about PFAS back then. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah. So.
Yeah, but you've gotten to the point, because I've asked you, I was like, hey man, because like some people only have one set of gear, their frontline gear. And like, what about guys that want to get in gear, but they don't want to trash their stuff? And you told me like, hey man, you can go on eBay.
Yeah, eBay, a couple $100, you get an expired set of gear. I mean, like if you don't have the luxury of having a department that has grinder gear, or ask friends that have that kind of access, to some departments have just stockpiles of grinder gear, but if, how bad do you want it? Right. $200 to me, that's worth it. Yeah, for sure. It's older gear, but who cares? Right. If you want to get good at your job and not be a liability, right?
Mm.
You got to get good in your gear. It's the bottom line.
Yeah. I heard you talk about this on the Hortons and Hunt podcast, and it's not a common thing out here in Colorado, but apparently it is in Florida, that if you guys get a call, you guys are stripping down to your skivvies before you head out, right?
Yeah, man. That's that. I guess it's a Florida thing, man. I never get in gear with pants or shorts on underneath.
Yeah.
We'll be driving to a call and we'll pull over to get geared up, and I'll drop to my underwear on the side of the road. But yeah, it blew people's minds when I first moved to Colorado. They're like, check out the pro, he's getting in his underwear. I'm like, wait till you try it, bro. Wait till you try it. Hot and humid. You don't want extra layers of clothes, plus your mobility with pants on, it gets so much harder with actual pants underneath your gear. So
yeah, I think you even own that shit, right? I started wearing like crazy underwear.
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
I got the craziest underwear on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, dude, I started doing that too.
Yeah.
I've gotten some weird looks, but no one's actually called me out on it. And I said the same thing, like, try it. Just try it.
I guarantee you. Yeah. When I was teaching at the Mile High last year, Baz and all his boys were there. I was teaching with them, and we were, doing our morning meeting, and we all go to get in gear, and I look around because they're all from Florida. What are they all doing? They're getting in their underwear. I'm like, that's what's up. Those are my peeps right there, bro. So,
hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at Mile High, and I saw Baz's presentation, but I didn't take that class. What was the name of that class?
One Bad Day.
Oh, so that was the actual one the short version.
Tour. Yeah,
one bad tour. One bad day. Okay. Yeah, Baz is the man too, man. I gotta rub elbows with that guy.
Yeah, man. Good people.
So what's your message to guys? Obviously, and Logan says this too, and same thing with Spira. Obviously, they're not gonna be able to keep up with you, especially when you're doing like Hardknox heavy, which we're gonna touch on, where you're like masked up, pack on. What is the process to get to your level?
I get that all the time, right? Like I can't keep up with you. There's no way I'm gonna slow you down. I get that a lot. I'm gonna slow you down. And it's just, dude, if you want to get a workout in, you want to come train with me, I don't care if you're in slick shorts and a t-shirt, or if you start with your gear and you start stripping gear as the workout goes. I don't care. I will never ever talk shit. We can talk shit before, we'll talk shit after, but I will never talk shit about you working out. I'll never be like, oh man, Preston fucking shed his gear halfway through the workout. That's fucking stupid, right? Like, what am I doing? I'm bringing you down, right? So my whole point and my whole passion is to help elevate people up, right? And I don't expect you to be where I'm at. I've been training gear for over 15 years. Your day one, we all started at day one. I'm 15 years in this game, man. 16 years, right? So I don't expect you to be there. All I do expect you is that I'm going to push you some, and I might challenge you to maybe keep your gear on a little bit longer than you think you can, right? Maybe it's a couple minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes, whatever it is, right? And little by little, we'll start getting you up there. But I'll never talk shit, man. I just invite everybody, and if you want to get after it, let's get after it.
Yeah,
man. I've been working out with people who haven't worked out in gear recently. Some of the new cadre. So first time doing a deck of cards. First time working out in gear. Worked out with one of the girls I got hired with the other day, Maddie Patton. She had never done McGee. We went to Red Rocks, and she's like, "Hey, I'll do McGee because you're here." I was like, "All right, coat and pants," and she stayed in coat and pants the whole time. Oof. Knocked out McGee, and we all know that ain't a joke of a workout. No. So yeah, man, it's just helping people realize their potential and showing them what's possible.
I did McGee 2 days ago because it was on Spira's app. And then I texted Matt McGee the day after. Yeah. I was like, hey, bro, I suck at doing the McGee. I'm still hurting. Like everything hurts. And he's like, and he was like, cool, man. What was your time? I was like, I don't even want to tell you, dude.
Yeah, I tell people it doesn't matter about the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So I told him I was like 37 or 39 minutes. And he was like, dude, you still crushed it. And then he told me that he does this like 5-second mindset thing where he give himself 5 seconds to like be in pain, and then after that 5 seconds he's back.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try that, but I might make it 60 seconds.
It's a mental grind, right? And it's just teaching people how to push your mind through the suck, man.
Yeah.
The suck. And it's, we all want to quit. Everything in life is meant to be easy. Our mind wants everything to be easy. So just living in the suck, man.
Yeah.
Solo suffering. I always say I have a black belt in solo suffering.
When I came over to do a workout with you, seems like a long time ago, but we did a workout in your garage, and it was an hour long, but it was easy. It was like 10 up downs for 1 minute, and then 10 something on the ground. I forget what it was. 10 push-ups, I think. Maybe. And it was in gear or just coat and pants. Toward the later rounds, I was dying, and you saw me like bowled over, hands on my knees. shaking my head, walking outside, like feeling like I want to quit.
Yeah.
And you said, "Hey, man, just smile.
Yeah.
Just nod your head.
Hell yeah. Nod your head. Yes.
Just nod your head. Yes. Yep. Yeah. And that shit works.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I say good all the time. I stole that from Jocko. It ain't my thing, but I say good all the time.
Yeah.
I teach my students all the time. Oh, you're in pain? Good.
Yeah.
It's fucking raining? Good. We got 1,000 donuts to go? Good. You know, just that little one word switches your whole mindset, man.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, fuck, you know, right there, you already lost. You already lost the game.
Yeah.
And then, you know, being an instructor like in Georgia, you could tell people, I could look at people and I'll be like, oh, this guy's about to break because of that. Or they're like, you know, so just act like you're not in pain. We're all in pain.
Yeah.
Just act as if, man.
Oh, but like you said, it's that mental, that mental part of it, because I think that's a big thing we can touch on smoke divers is like a large part of it is mental, but the physical aspect of it is to get you to that breaking point.
For sure.
Right. But then you can easily talk yourself out of it if you don't have that fortitude. You're not convincing yourself that you can keep going. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my deal.
Yeah. When did you
that mental fortitude and resiliency?
Yeah. When did you go through smoke diver? Georgia?
I went in 22.
In 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just turned 45.
And you were still in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you've now been in Colorado for a year and a half.
Yeah. A little over a year and a half.
Okay. Can you tell the people why you left Florida to move to Colorado?
Yeah, man. So I've been coming out to Wyoming, Montana, Colorado for forever. Love the mountains. Never liked the beach. I mean, I literally lived on an apartment building at one point on the beach and never went to the beach. Hot and humid 11 months out of the year sucks ass. I'm from Texas, so I like that Southern hospitality. South Florida is not that. People are not nice there. And I was out here in September of 22 and decided, fuck it. You know, my department I used to work for is super toxic. Luckily, my crew that I work with was awesome. So I do miss them. But as an organization as a whole, it was super toxic. So I wasn't appreciated, didn't love working there. And I said, fuck it, man. Life's too short to live somewhere you don't like and love, and our careers are even shorter to be somewhere where you don't love and aren't appreciated. So fuck it.
Yeah.
And came out here, had 3 interviews. First one was Brighton. I literally walked outside and was offered a job. I was waited by the captain and the unit president, offered me a job right then and there, and I knew right then that's where I wanted to work. And fucking best decision ever made, man. No regrets. The grass was definitely greener. So like I always tell people, man, if you're even thinking about changing departments, that's the sign right there. I had people message me yesterday. Hey man, you know, blah, blah, blah. How'd you do this? Well, I'm thinking about it. Do it. If you're thinking about it, do it. Obviously your family's got to be on board. Your wife's got to be on board if you're married or whatever the case is. Right. But if you're already thinking about it, I always tell people change your department or change departments. Right. So if you can't change the culture and you actually gave it a good go, not just cried and complained and didn't do shit about it to try to make it better, then fucking leave.
Yeah.
Fucking leave.
But they
don't care about you.
That's a big part too, though. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you actively trying to do to improve the environment around it? Like I was talking to Sparrow about this, was if you feel like you've done everything that you possibly could to improve the culture and get people brought up with you, and it's just not working out, then you really know.
Yeah.
But if you don't put in an effort and you're like, this place sucks, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
Without
being a big baby.
Right.
Big whiny baby.
Yeah. But then sometimes like when you know. Like
100%.
Toxic cultures.
Oh yeah. It was the best decision ever.
But I think another thing about that is that the people that don't get outside, once again, the walls of their own department, they don't know if their department's culture is toxic. They just, that's what they think the fire service is.
Yep.
They're like, oh yeah, you know, and I've heard people say this, the brotherhood is dead in the fire service. It's not what it used to be.
No, come to Texas, brother. I'll show you the brotherhood's alive and well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I got to get the Dago next year for sure.
I'll be there. Hopefully.
Nice.
In May. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, brotherhood is not dead. You just got to get out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, best decision ever. For sure.
Yeah, Brighton, I personally know Brighton. You guys are doing some awesome stuff. Like your chief's badass.
I always say we got the best chief in the country nobody knows about.
Yeah.
But I got him hooked up on a podcast, so
yeah,
he'll be doing a podcast in October.
He's dreamy too. Don't tell him I said that.
He's a stud. He physically is a stud, a specimen. So yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. So you're a mountain guy, right? So what's your sport?
Man, I love hiking.
Yeah.
I just bought a mountain bike. I haven't even rode it yet, but yeah, I love hiking, camping, obviously snowboarding in the wintertime. So I got both passes. So this season I'm going to ride like every freaking day.
Man, how's your skills? You get pretty good?
I used to be really good, but I hadn't ridden before this past winter. I hadn't ridden in probably like 4 or 5 years. So.
Okay.
And I only rode like 4 days or 5 days. So.
Are you regular or goofy?
Goofy.
Okay. Yeah, you're like my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, I ain't busting out tricks like I used to back in the day. I'm getting a little older. So,
right.
But, I just want to have fun. So, yeah.
No, I love it, man. What's your favorite mountain?
So far, A-Bay and Copper.
Yeah, Copper's mine go-to.
Yeah.
That's where I learned it. And then, like, the base of the mountain's pretty sweet, too. They always got something going on.
Yeah. So,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about fitness, man. So, you got Hardknox. Yep. Hardknox Sunday.
Yep.
Where'd you come up with the name?
So Hardknox Sunday started back in like 2011, I think it was. I would put on a free boot camp at a different local gym once a month to support local business owners and gym owners around the South Florida area that I was living in. And it was on I think it was the third Sunday of the month. So that's why Hardknox Sunday. So that's where it started. And then a few years back, I started doing like, I've done personal training, one-on-one training, CrossFit training, freaking boot camps. I've done all that stuff, right? So then a few years back, I started doing online trainings, taking online like one-on-one clients. And then because of Logan, thankfully, I've been thinking about doing like a set program. I just kind of never really did it. And he kind of basically paved the way and showed me. He's like, hey, this is how you do it. This is the website you use, blah, blah, blah. You should definitely do it. So he encouraged me to do it, helped me. So that's how I started the Hardknox Hitters program, which is a 12-week set program, mostly gear workouts, 5 workouts a week. And then after that, I wanted to put out something crazier because my buddies that are smoke divers like, dude, you need to put something out that's just calisthenics. It's going to ruin people. I said, roger that. And that's when I wrote the heavy and made the heavy. And yeah, man, that's another 12-week program, 5 workouts a week. Every workout's in gear. So I think there's only a handful that are under an hour. Everything else is an hour, 2 hours plus, and just sparing people. But people are crushing it too, man. So people are on the heavy and they're like, dude, I fucking sucked the whole time, but I grinded through and I finished. And that's the whole point, right? Like people say, hey, what's a good time for this? It doesn't matter about the time. The thing is, don't take your gear off and just grind through. Finishing it is the goal. It's not a race. I don't really care. I don't want you doing half-ass reps. Like my boy Brant posted a video the other day of people doing half-ass mountain climbers and shit. So the whole point is to do the reps correctly and grind through the workout. And you're working on that mental resiliency and that fortitude, right? That's what this program was for.
I feel like you're personally calling me out with half-ass mountain climbers because I was definitely doing that the other day.
You've only worked out with me once, so I really can't comment on it.
Well, bro, I was doing it the other day, doing the McGee. I was like, I know I'm not doing full-on mountain climbers. I'm just doing like little knee raises and shit.
Yeah, no, you can't just toe tap. You got to bring your knee in. Yeah, that's what Hardknox Sunday, and then I do one-on-one custom programming here and there when I have time. So like, I'll have a client or two at a time, nothing crazy. And then, got stickers and merch and shit, but I don't really push the merch hard.
Well, yeah, because you said something about like training like tactical athletes. Mm-hmm. It's not just firefighters or mostly firefighters?
Yeah, mostly firefighters now, but I've been training cops and like military firemen for about a decade.
Nice.
But now mostly like firefighters, right? Especially with like smoke diver gaining so much popularity and because of social media and Ches killing it with his social media game for Georgia. People are like, hey, if I do this program, this is my favorite question. If I do this program, will I succeed at Georgia or Colorado or wherever? I'm like, no, the answer is no. It'll get you ready, but I can't tell you 100%. Yeah, you're going to pass. I'm not giving any secrets out, but it's what's between your 2 ears that really matters. They always say if you could do the entrance test, you're physically capable of. It's a mental game that a lot of people aren't used to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had Matt McGee on here, and he was talking about the first scenario they had, the fire scenario. Mm-hmm. He literally had burned his hand so bad that he had blisters.
Yeah.
After the first scenario, and they're like, well, you can keep going or you can quit.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you serious, bro? Like, so hot that your hands are burning on the floor and you have to continue through the entire program. That was day one or first scenario. I was like, damn, man, they ain't playing.
No. Yeah.
Would you say with the smoke diver, since you went to Georgia and with all the social media hype, those guys aren't watering it down though? Are they making it harder at smoke diver?
So it's not watered down. The standard is the standard, right? We're holding the standard now. With that being said, like any organization, any top tier team or whatever. There's people that squeak by that shouldn't. Like, you can't help that, right? Which happens in anything. But we're not lowering the standard to get people to pass. By far, that's not happening. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess there's someone like a Sean Ryan episode. They were talking about the Buds program for Navy SEALs, and I know smoke divers is nothing like the Buds, but you know, just on a physical capability of people having to pass at least the Buds program, and that's not even the full Navy SEALs curriculum. But they said that when it started, like in the 50s or something like that, it has not changed. It's been the same thing. The standard has been the standard, right? And like, you either make it through or you don't,
right?
And I love that about the smoke divers. And I think with all the extra hype, people are like, oh, well, you know, are they now just like trying to get people through?
No,
and it's like, no,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, I can tell you that without a doubt where that's not happening. We're not giving anybody anything.
Let me ask you about when you get through the smoke diver program, you now get the label of smoke diver and you're now Insta famous, all this stuff, right? But every day from that program, do you feel like you have to carry yourself a certain way now?
I mean, if you give a shit about the program and yourself and the job, yeah, right? There's some people that just want the black t-shirt and say they did it just for bragging rights, right? We all know who they are, but they don't actually hold a standard. And when I say this loosely. It's easier to get the rocker than to maintain the rep of having that rocker on. And by no means is it easy to get it. But once you have it, you have the target on your back, and you have to, if you care about it, you have to uphold that standard every single fucking day. Because, you know, if not, then you're just that guy that said, oh, back in high school, I could throw a football over a mountain, right? Like, oh, look what I did back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about what you did back in the day. And I don't give a shit what I've done before. Yeah, it's cool, something I'm super proud of, but I'm not resting everything I have done on that. It's what am I doing now, and what am I doing forward, and what am I doing to help people and make a difference in the service, right? So, yeah, it's definitely harder once you get it, for sure. Yeah.
So helping people with the programs, with Hardknox Sunday, and you said you got the Hardknox hitters and Hardknox heavy, which are, I have the Hardknox heavy, and I've done a few of them, but I haven't gone all the way through.
Yeah.
And I plan on it. We're gonna rewind, go back to this podcast
on Monday.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, next Monday. Well, not, I'm sore today, so I'm gonna start maybe. No, I'm kidding. No, but what's your vision of Hardknox going forward? Anything you want to implement?
That's a good question, man. There's so many people doing awesome stuff, right? Like Spira with 55 Fire, my buddy Logan with Rogue Firemanship, right? And we all help each other. We don't compete against each other. We promote each other's shit. So I don't know. That's a great question, man. I'd like to get savvier with the merch just because people ask about it all the time. Maybe, I don't know. The heavy's pretty legit right now. I don't know if I could top that anytime soon. So, honestly, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
I thought about this because Colorado, I think Colorado's got some awesome firefighters. Like just being in Colorado, there's a lot of people that are in shape, very active community, dog friendly, which is why I love Colorado. I think as far as tradition and culture, it could maybe get a little bit better as far as the fire service goes. Like you talk about Texas, we can talk about the East Coast or the South, the Southern hospitality of the fire service altogether. I think, I don't know, west of the Mississippi or something like that, from Colorado all the way to the Pacific Coast, it's more run as an organization, some of the fire departments. And I think it's going to be guys like you, Spira, that are going to have to take the charge on building up tradition and culture, especially a fitness culture. Like, what are your thoughts on maybe like sponsoring like an event, like a fitness event that gets firefighters from all over the state to come in and do just something just to better the fire service?
That's funny you say that. So I can't really talk much about it, but we got something in the works, man. There's nothing like this anywhere in the country. Nobody's putting on anything like this. And it's going to be how to figure. So we're running the trial run in October, me and two other guys that are going to do this class. And then our first class is going to be in May. So to answer your question without giving it away, because we're not going to give it away yet, we got something in the works.
Okay, beautiful.
So it's going to test people through fitness and that mental resiliency and fortitude. And it's not a fireman class where you just show up and you get the fucking cert. You got to earn it. and there's going to be a standard. And if you don't meet the standard, you're going to be kicked out.
Yeah.
It's not smoke diver, nothing smoke diver related. So everybody chill out, but it will be a fucking kick in the dick, 100%.
Okay.
And we're going to run it through ourselves to make sure it's good to go, tweak anything. So it's not something we're just putting on and haven't actually vetted ourselves. So we're going to vet it in October. And then once October is done, we'll start putting stuff out and start advertising for it and start getting the word out.
Nice. I like that you said that you're going to run through it first, right? That was another thing that really resonated with me with your Hardknox Heavy program is you had enough humility and transparency using your social media to show that you got your ass kicked one day.
Oh yeah. It hadn't happened in a while, and I got wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to take gear off. I hadn't taken gear off in a workout, and I can't even remember. And I was like, fuck, man. But, like you said, stay transparent, and because we all go through it, right? We're all like ebb and flows, right? So I just wanted to just let people know, hey, it happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Did anybody reach out to you after you posted something like that or something like that, just because they finally realized that you're human?
Yeah, they're like, damn, that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, that you're having problems like that too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's why I posted it, man.
Yeah.
We're all human, bro. Like, I'm just a guy. You're just a guy, right? Anybody that's whatever, well known in this world of social media, which doesn't mean shit. We're just dudes, bro.
Yeah.
We're just people put on our pants the same way, and just trying to make it better, bro.
No, it's cool, man. I one post that you just did recently. I mean, so shout out to our boy Chambers that you did the deck of cards with for the first time.
Yep, first time.
Yeah, young dude in the fire service. Yep. Yeah, I love the fact he's from my department, so repping it out. But some of the videos you post, dude, is you're actually in the bay where the current recruits are doing shit in the background.
Yep.
And you're still getting after it right then and there.
Yeah, so we go there. They work out at 6 a.m. every day. So where I'm teaching at NAFA, the North Area Fire Academy, and so we're PTing while they're PTing. I'm just not doing their PT. And the reason for that is because I still have goals that I'm still trying to achieve, right? And doing their PT is not going to get me there, so I got to do my stuff.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah, so we're PTing, showing them that we're still getting after it, right? Not doing their workouts, but they see us working out in gear, so like, all right, they're getting after it, which is a big deal, right? Just kind of, I guess, buys you credibility in their eyes, right? Instead of just, hey, this is what I've done. That doesn't mean shit, right?
Yeah.
So
I meant to bring it up earlier. Like we were talking about the instructors that just yell, but they obviously don't look the part.
Oh yeah, those are my favorite.
As a military veteran, that drives me fucking crazy. I was like, guys that they probably watched Full Metal Jacket before they came into work, and they're starting to yell at everybody and got them all standing at attention. And they weren't in the military. That's the one thing. If you weren't in the military and you're acting like a drill instructor, I'm like, please stop, please.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a military veteran in the ranks and you're yelling at them, and they're like, the shit doesn't work, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even in shitty instructors, right? You learn what not to do or what not to be like, right? But yeah, I never wanted to be that yelling instructor just to yell for whatever reason. Now I hold a standard and I teach them discipline, right? And I keep them to that standard, but I'm not just fucking yelling, just yell. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, you know who always intimidated me the most is the cadre who were always stoic and reserved.
Yeah.
And then when they started yelling, I'm like, oh shit, it's real. Yeah. It's real.
This guy means business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cool.
So yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, bro.
Yeah. All right, when do you? So you're training this current academy.
Yep.
Are you done after that?
I don't know. I think so, but I don't know. So they pulled me offline. This is why I love Brighton, man. They hired me as a lateral, and they say we didn't hire you as a lateral to not use you as a lateral, right? So I was online from April to December of last year, and they pulled me out, put me in training. So I've been teaching at NAFA, the North Area Fire Academy, since January. Did NAFA 14. Now we started NAFA 15, which ends in this November. We'll see if I stay in training. I mean, ideally, I would love to stay in training because I love teaching. I love training, but we'll see what they want to do.
Yeah, but you technically didn't even get hired initially as a lateral, right? Didn't you start the academy like everybody else?
So yeah, I was the first person they hired out of state, so they didn't really know what to do with all my certs. And Colorado, for some reason, is the only state in the country that doesn't have fire marshals, so they're kind of like cowboys out here. So they don't have any reciprocity for anything you have. So they told me, worst case scenario, you got to go through a full academy. I was like, I don't care. And again, this all goes back to fitness, right?
Yeah.
If you stay ready, as cliche as this shit sounds, you don't have to get ready, right? So you might have to do academy, send it, whatever, right? one day, all I did was don and doff fucking gear. Like, how hard is that, right? But like 4 weeks in, they finally figured out that if I took the Colorado instructor one test, I could get out. Like, it supersedes all the other stuff. And I already have all my stuff in Florida. But so that's what I did. I took the test and did 4 weeks, and then they brought me online.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's another testament to your department.
Yeah, man. They freaking rock. They're empowering. They're supportive. Like, I've never felt anything like this ever. 180 degrees, totally different than any I experienced in Florida. Like, super supportive. I go teach all across the country, and they asked me, they're like, hey, we want you to do 15. After 15, I was like, yeah, no problem. But all these dates, I'm going to be gone teaching. As long as you guys are cool with that, I'm cool. Yeah, no problem. We'll support you, whatever you need. Like, freaking awesome. How awesome is that? Most departments would have said pound sand.
Yeah. But your chief said something to you, and I might paraphrase it the wrong way, but about you going to outside trainings and teaching. And he was like, why would we not have you go out there to represent our department, right? In a way, and better the fire service.
Yeah. So he said exactly that. You're representing us well. And I don't necessarily care if you're only making our department better, but if you're making the fire service better, and I'll support you in anything you're doing. So not just making Brighton better, but if I'm supporting anything in the fire service, he'll support me. Man. And freaking hands down. That's why I say I work for the best chief in the country. We're hiring, by the way, guys. We're hiring. August 31st is the deadline for the apps. 0 search to laterals. So if you think about moving, make the change, man.
Yeah. For the lateral, get your Colorado instructor.
Yeah, exactly.
No, dude, that's cool, man. Let's I want to talk about. So I had Scott Vatican on.
Yep.
I love that dude.
Yep.
I have a lot of respect for him.
Yep.
He's a part of the True Grit cadre.
Yeah.
You guys just had a lecture series on. I was able to come out there and listen to Scott talk about his thing. You're a member of that cadre as well, right?
Yeah. So we started a company called True Grit Training. There's 5 of us. Scott Vatican, Chris James, Seth Major, Paulie Johnson, and myself. And we've only done one training so far. We did a live fire training up in Eaton. And our whole point of this, starting this company, is to put on realistic fire training in the Colorado area, because there's nothing really like it that's happening in Colorado, right? We all go to our live fire burns or whatever for your department, and it's at the burn building, and it's nothing burns hotter than 500 or 700 degrees. We all know the freaking layout of the thing. We all know where the victims are going to be. It's almost comical to watch. It's like we're not even getting anything out of it. Like, we're just kind of running through the motions, ticking the box, and that's it. So we wanted to put on something more realistic. So like when we burned, I think it was a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago was our first one, and we're lighting it off, and it's starting at like 1200 degrees. And I know it's all based on the building and all this stuff, but they let us burn kind of mini FDTN style. So we kind of do the same loads of the fire loads and all that stuff. So like we're not really even instructing much. We just give a little after action, like, hey, maybe try this, or hey, when you did this, you saw what happened. Because the fire is going to teach you everything it needs to do, right? Because it's a legit fire. It's hot, it's angry, it's violent, it's harsh, and it's teaching you whether whatever you're doing is working or not, because there's no faking it. It's not theater smoke. It's not a little one pallet burn. So that's what we're trying to bring to the Colorado, Denver area. And we're going to start putting on like search classes. We're going to start teaching RIT. And then we're going to get back to live fire.
Yeah. No, that was another one of those events where I was in Pensacola. I was at COBC when you guys burned, and then I came back. Everybody was talking about it.
Everybody keeps asking me every day, when's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? Most people that were there, like, I haven't been anything that hot ever. I'm like, yeah, because all you've done is your academy burns, and then your live fire burns at your department. It's 500 or 700 degrees. And whoop-de-doo. Yeah. Right? Like, and I can go into the whole physiological effects that happens when you go into that stuff, right? Because I do a whole lecture on that, but you're not going to rise to that occasion. And if you've never felt 1200, 1800 degrees, you're going to literally shit the bed. You're going to shit the bed. You're going to become part of the problem instead of part of the solution. And now instead of being an asset, now you're a liability. And you're getting paid to be an asset.
Yeah. When Vatican was showing me pictures of that, I told him straight up, I was like, dude, I don't even know how I would react in that.
Yeah.
If you put me in there right now, I'd probably, you think, you're like, you fucking scared. Hot, you can't see shit.
100%.
Yeah. But, and in a structure that you've never been in, right? That was the key.
I mean, we do a walkthrough, obviously. So settle the fuck down. Unfortunately, no through shit. But we do a walkthrough. Yeah. But you don't know it like the back of your hand.
Right. Yeah.
Like where your department, your training center, you guys all know that thing like the back of your hand. You don't have to even think about it. Hey, you've been in it once and now we black it out. Now you have no idea what just happened.
Yeah. So I see that training scar all the time when we get new probies on the line. We're like, hey man, we're going to train, just pull a hose to the door, do a live fire layout, do all this stuff. And we're going to go whatever the scenario. And they're full on sprint, go like just, and I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, this is how we did it in academy. And I'm like, you did it in academy because you knew the whole layout of the structure and you knew we were in a concrete building with nothing, no furniture. Like, I need you to slow down. I need you like all these, the firefighter IQ is what I tell a lot of people, right? Like, what are your windows? What type of building are you in? Where's the fire? How can you tell? All this stuff, reading smoke. That all gets bypassed when you're dealing with propane burns in a concrete building. Yeah. So I love what you guys are doing. And you guys are trying to find another day to burn.
Yeah, we're trying. Like, obviously, we don't have our own burn building, which that would be amazing, right? So we're just dealing with the politics of that. But we're going to start burning hopefully soon, hopefully in September, October.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely, like if you, like we were talking about earlier, going to conferences, right? Get out, go to different conferences, FDTN. I've never been, but I hear it's one of the best ones in the country. So I'm going to go next year. Fort Lauderdale, I teach there every year in October. We always get acquired structures every year. Live fire and acquired structures. Awesome. But that shit sells out in like 5 minutes. So you got to be like on the ball, Johnny on the spot to sign up for that. But you got to get out, man. Because if you think you made it by just going through fire academy or going through your recruit school, that is the minimum standard. The minimum standard, which is one step above fail. And if you're okay with that, you're part of the problem, right? Being minimum standard and say, hey, I made it. I learned everything I learned and I'm good to go. That is naive, irresponsible, and pretty plain stupid, right? It's like counting to infinity. You're never going to learn everything. Kind of like in jiu-jitsu, you never stop learning, right? So this is the same thing. So we can't be just okay with, hey, we went through recruit school. All right, cool. Yeah, it's a good recruit school, but burn concrete building. What are you doing?
Right. Yeah. It's the foundation. It's not.
Yep. It's step one.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's step one.
So you've said it a few times already, asset reliability. And you were the first person I heard that from speaking about the fire service. I've heard other people talk about it ever since then, but what does that mean to you when you say that, asset reliability?
And I didn't invent the term. I didn't coin the term. I love that when people say, like, get mad at other people because they're using the term that you use, and that happened recently. It's like, dude, you didn't invent shit. So I heard it a long time ago. I've been implementing to my students since back in Florida, asset or liability, right? My buddy Remy uses that all the time, and I was just giving him shit. I'm like, hey, bro, you using my line? He's such a good dude. He's like, hey, is that really? I'm like, bro, I'm just kidding. I didn't invent shit, right? You can use whatever. I can use whatever. No big deal. But yeah, so it's black or white. This is one of those things that's black or white. You're either an asset or you're a liability. There's no fucking gray. You're either one or the other. Now, you could be a liability working to be an asset, but can you perform on the fire ground for multiple cylinders and do your job, or can you not? Right? If you're done in gear in 5 or 10 minutes, you're done. You're a liability. Hands down. I don't want you on my crew. The citizens don't want you coming to save their house. And you know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. You know if you're that person, right? So you need to take it seriously and become an asset. Otherwise, what are you doing? Right? I think anybody that is assigned gear needs to have that approach and be held to that standard. Can you perform on the fire ground or not? Now, I don't care if you're wearing a white helmet. You still need to be able to put your gear on and go to work. Like, I love seeing like Chief Nate Sturm and those dudes getting after it. Dennis Riley, they get in their gear. They're getting after it, man. That is freaking epic. And the impact they have on their crews, like, how badass is that? Your chief's out there getting after it with you? Fuck me. I'm down. You tell me to run through a wall, we're going.
Absolutely.
Or captains or whatever, you have such a good impact. But yeah, asset or liability, you're one or the other.
Yeah.
One or the other, man.
Speaking of Dennis Riley, he messaged me before you were coming on. He's like, oh, no way, you having Marcos on? Tell him I said hi.
Dude, I'm telling you, I met all these crazy hitters, all these heavyweights, right? Last, whatever it was, 2 weekends ago in Houston. All these big names, right? Like I said, like Ken Pfluger, Tom Hollick, Dennis Riley, Nate Sturm, all these guys I met. Huge names in the service, right? And all of a sudden now we're all tight.
Yeah. I got to get with Tom Hollick because I put out a thing that said, hey, I'm looking for guests to fill up a spot in October. And he messages me and he's like, hey, man, these guys would be great. Gives me like the 4 or 5 deal. I'm like, bro, like, I've heard your name referred several times.
He's awesome.
We're going to work with him. I'm going to try to line him up for 2025.
He is awesome. We took a picture together, and I'm not short. I'm 6'1", and I blame it on the slope of where we took the picture. I look like a freaking little person next to him. I'm like, this is stupid, Tom. What are we doing? But yeah, Great guy. He went to Limp Bizkit with us. He went to Limp Bizkit with us. Yeah.
Did you sit on his shoulders?
Yeah, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So that leads me to another question, man.
Yeah.
We've talked about all these great people in the fire service, people that you now call brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Building your tribe, surrounding yourself with these people. How important is that?
Oh man, it's paramount, right? I always like, that whole saying, like, if you're the smartest, strongest person in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room, right? It's easy to be a fucking big shot in a tiny little pond, right? Like fucking Goggins talks about it. Being uncommon amongst uncommon, that's what counts, right? You could be uncommon amongst regular Joes all day. That doesn't mean shit. And maybe some people like that because it makes them feel better about themselves. But I want to be challenged. I want guys pushing me. Like these fucking young bucks that I run with and we text with, they're busting out workouts and they're smoking shit and sending me workouts. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I love it, man, because they're the future of the fire service, right? The 20-something-year-olds, 30-year-olds, they're crushing it. And I love it, man, because they're pushing the envelope, raising the standard, right? And it's just awesome seeing them come up. So just, you got to surround yourself with people that are better than you and smarter than you, man.
Yeah.
You have to. And it may not be in your department, and that's okay. And I'm not going to shit talk. Like, you shouldn't shit talk your department, right? But if you're not getting what you want out of your department, then it's time to get out of your bubble. Start going to conferences, and you'll see the brotherhood is alive and well. And the brotherhood is alive and well in my department, 100%. But some people are like, oh, the brotherhood's dead in my department. Then get out of your bubble, come back and share stuff humbly. Approach. It's all about the approach, right? And little by little, you'll start affecting that change. Kind of like when you're the only person work out on the bay, right? Then some people kind of start walking, asking you questions, and next thing you know, there's a couple of you, and next thing you know, it's your whole crew, right? But it takes time.
Yeah.
And you have to just do it because you want to be better. And if nobody ever joins you, it is what it is.
Well, let's talk about the intimidation factor, like especially with you. And we talked about social media, and you've met a lot of people down in Texas that you've only known through social media.
Yep.
But take the humility, like just understand that like when people meet you, they're intimidated and they are afraid to work out with you, like we were saying. But let's say that person is trying to like surround themselves by good people, like you said it already, like you're just a dude.
Yep.
Like especially to encourage someone that maybe reach out to you on social media, talk to you about programs and stuff. Like, is there any other message that you would add onto that?
I mean, you say people are intimidated, but dude, we had 15, 18 people working out every day in Houston. And I don't know if it's just because it's the Houston or the Texas people, but so whether they were intimidated or not, they didn't say it. They were out there working out, and we all worked out together. We stayed together. We did McGee one day, and we all stayed together. But I would just say, don't be afraid. Just, you have to take the first step. First step's always the hardest, right? And if you're around people that are making fun of you or talking shit, then those aren't your people, man. You got to surround yourself with better people, right? Like I said, I'll never talk shit about somebody that's trying to get better. Now, if you're not trying to get better and you're claiming to be like a solid fireman, then we might have something to talk about. But if you're trying to get better, I'll never talk shit about you.
Yeah.
And just don't be afraid of, hey, can I come work out with you? Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think a lot of people, when they first take that first step and they put themselves in the spotlight or whatever, put that target on their back, and then they get a lot of the critics and the haters saying stuff about like, who do you think you are? You think you're Marcos? You're not Marcos, bro. Like, calm down. Like, I think it takes a while to get out of that phase, and some people never get past it because they can't handle that pressure from those people. But my message is like, why are you listening to criticism from people that you're not trying to be like?
100%, right? 100%. And you have to be okay sucking at stuff for a while. Like, don't compare yourself to people that have been training in gear for years and expect to be there right away. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to put in the work, right? So just remember that. And I think that's one of the biggest things is stop comparing yourself to somebody. Like, if I started jiu-jitsu, right, and I'm comparing myself to a black belt and I just started, well, that's just literally stupid, right? Like, this guy's been training for 10 plus years and I've just started. Like, obviously I'm not going to be as good as him, right? Yeah. Same thing with training in gear, right? If you're just starting, you're not going to be as good as somebody that's been doing it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever the case is. And just remember that. And I think that's the biggest thing is don't compare yourself. Just one step at a time, one rep at a time, one workout at a time. And little by little, consistency is the key, right? Motivation's fickle. I always say it comes and goes. You got to rely on that discipline, right? Like, people like, I got to get motivated. I got to play the right music or this and that. And well, that ain't going to work for long, brother. Half the time I don't have music on. I'm mostly by myself all the time. When I was training for my 100 miler, I ran with zero music. Like, don't rely on motivation. Rely on your discipline. Some days I don't fucking want to work out, but I fucking do it.
Yeah. That's that discipline, right? That's just
it. I could easily not work out and be okay.
Yeah.
And then I feel guilty. And then, you know, like one day is no big deal. Okay, whatever. But like, you know, one day could turn into 2 days. 2 days could turn into 5 days. And I mean, that's never happened to me before, but lately, but you know, you just got to rely on that discipline.
Yeah. I think one thing that you said in there was like, if you're not put in the work and you call yourself like a good fireman or something like that, like that's where the problem lies. But the message that you're trying to convey is that, yeah, you may not be that badass fireman. You're not the Logans or the Sparrows or the Marcos yet, but just like see where you're at, know where you're at, and then just work toward that goal. I think myself, I struggle with the fact that I want to be at that phase, and then I get in gear and I fucking suck 10 minutes into it. And I'm like, this is going to be a long journey, and you gotta just embrace that suck.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to, if you want it. And you have to be careful with social media, right? There's people that can pretend to be anything they want. And like, I think you asked me, or you told me when we first met, like people were like, hey, you know, what's Marcos like? And I get that people all the time, like, hey, you know, Marcos, like, what's he like, right? Because I could be anybody I want on social media. And if you don't know me, you'll never know the difference. But there's people out there on social media that pretend to be this all whatever. And in real life, they're a piece of fucking shit. They're a slapdick, as my boys Horton say. And if you don't know them, you're going to be like, oh, dude, this guy's got a lot of followers. He's got to be legit, you know, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, he's a piece of shit. Nobody wants him at the station and nobody wants to work with him. So just be careful. Like I encourage and tell youngsters coming up, be careful who you pick to be a mentor and who you pick to idolize, right? Find out about them. Find out if they're legit. Find out if they're a good person, if they're a good fireman, not just popular on social media. Social media don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Social media does not mean shit. Just because somebody doesn't have a lot of followers doesn't mean they're a good fireman, right? Or a good person. Just because you do have a lot of followers doesn't mean you're a fucking good person or a good fireman. So just be careful with that.
Yeah, great message. Shit, I tell people all the time when they're like, how'd you get so many followers? And I was like, because I made a bunch of stupid ass reels and I post like every day, but it doesn't mean like I'm a savage. And that goes back into like I talked to you about this, like I had the Fit Fire Fortitude page, right? It's like fitness, firefighting, and mental toughness. And then I was like, that's not really me. Like the more people I've met like you, I'm like, okay, I'm mediocre at all three of those.
We're all mediocre at shit.
Well, dude, but that was the thing where I had to like have a hard conversation with myself. As like, okay, I'm not there yet. I need to surround myself with good people and put in the work. You know, that's where we came up with the Relentless Rejects for right now, where I want to bring Fit Fire Fortitude back, but I'm in this like underground building phase of myself, right? Like right now, I got the dad life, and the wife's upstairs right now doing some shit, but she's stomping on our head right now. Right. But it's one of those things, and I hate telling you or other people like, just wait, bro. Like once my baby gets into daycare, like it's a shitty fucking excuse, but that's the one I have right now. But it's once again like those conversations you have with yourself. Like don't tell people you're something you're not, but understand that you could be that. You just got to put in the work.
Let your work speak for itself, man.
Yeah.
Let your work speak for itself. You could want something all with all your fucking heart and everything, every ounce in your body, but unless you do the work, you're not going to get it. Right? Yeah. You're not going to get it. And there's levels to this shit, like levels to working out in gear. I tell people that are like training or on the heavy, they're like, dude, I remember when I first started training in gear, and now it's like night and day comparison. I'm like, yeah, there's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
Like putting your gear on should be zero factor. Factor. Let's go. Right. But yeah, let the work speak for itself, man.
You know what mantra that motivates me? So, because I'm someone that feeds off of negative energy. Like if someone tells me I can't do it, then I focus all on that, and I remember that shit, and I remember who said it. But one thing that I love about Goggins is he talks about the taking souls part of it, right? Right. I know you probably feed off that, but so my journey of training in gear has only been like a year long, and I don't train in every day, but as much as I can, at least once a set. And but I've already started to see some of the positive effects of it, where I actually got the entire crew to get in gear.
Awesome.
And it was just, random shit, go up and down the stairs, farmers carries, mountain climbers, all this stuff. But I finally got to a point in the workout where everybody else was leaned over. People had their head leaned back, and other guys, like you can see he's like grabbing at his mask and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that was me not that long ago.
So now it's your job to tell them, stand up.
Yeah,
get your hands off your knees.
Smile. Yes.
Say yes. Shake your head. Yes.
Yep.
And that's when you coach them up, right? Like just putting your hands on your knees, you're already defeated, right? Like you're already defeated. So just those little cues, right?
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
It's cool to start to see small wins here and there, right?
And that's all it's about. Small wins. Small wins. Stack it up. Small wins.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah. One more topic I want to talk about, because we can go all day on this shit, but like, right. We can only talk so much about it, but I wanted to ask you about the Colorado Smoke Diver program.
Sure.
It's obviously a sister program of Georgia and Oklahoma. What's the timeline of that? It doesn't have to be exact dates, but how can people look into it, maybe sign up for it, get on the interest card list?
So Rick Swales and Matt Best are the ones that they're OG smoke divers from Georgia. They got permission to start the sister program to Georgia. So they're the guys behind it. And tentative dates are October of 25. You can go to coloradosmokediver.com. So if you want to be a student, obviously if you're already a smoke diver, you can't attend, because the whole point of that is you're taking a spot away from somebody who hasn't experienced it. And our whole message and our whole thing is to spread the word and share this, right? So we don't want smoke divers that are already a smoke diver to come take a spot from somebody. But if you want to be a student for Colorado Class 1, you go to coloradosmokediver.com. You can fill out an interest card, and we'll start doing stuff next year for that. And then for any instructor that wants to come help teach, it's already a smoke diver, same place, coloradosmokediver.com. It's going to be gnarly, man. I think it's going to be a whole nother beast, bro, because of the elevation. We're going to be at Mile High. So that's a whole fucking other equalizer.
Do you know where it's kicking off at?
Tentatively, it's going to be at Grand Junction.
Grand Junction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's where Rick and Matt work.
Is Grand Junction higher or lower than Denver? Do you know?
Just a couple hundred feet lower.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like right at like 4,900.
Yeah. So I got my interest card in, but I was like, do I want to do it at altitude right now, or do I want to? But then if you try to go to one of the, like Georgia, obviously you're not at altitude, but you're dealing with humidity, and for somebody from Colorado is not used to that shit. So pick your poison.
Pick your poison. But we keep saying, man, if anybody comes from sea level and is successful, fucking savage, because elevation ain't no joke.
Yeah. I was talking to Remy about it, and I was like, I think statistically for the average person, it takes 6 months to get fully acclimated.
Yeah, I heard you guys saying that. It took me 6 weeks, so I felt good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucked for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know how pro athletes and all that stuff do it. I guess once you stay ready.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They say sometimes, like if you have a race, and I don't know how scientific this is, it's just could be hearsay, but they say either come like a few weeks before or come the day before. Somehow, supposedly, it tricks your body. I don't know how true that is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just know when I got here, I was running and working out in gear every single day, and it sucked. It was like, this is awful.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people go up to Leadville and train, because Leadville's gnarly.
Yeah.
It's way
like
up there.
10, 11,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to live up there and just train up there.
Yeah, it was Keegan Gorham was up there.
Yeah.
Now he's with South Adams. Yeah. So I'm sure he's killing it right now. Love that dude.
Yeah, he's
like,
solid.
I can't wait to see his name in the next 10 years doing stuff.
Yeah.
So
solid guy.
All right, brother. Like, as we're landing the plane, do you have any final thoughts or messages to anybody?
Oh man. So one, thank you for having me. I know we've kind of been talking about it for a while, and thank you for having me on. I really wanted to talk about the Castillo Way conference and how awesome those Texas boys are. And everybody check out the Daggum Fire Conference. And then two, just don't be afraid to get in gear, man. Regardless of all that PFAS bullshit that's happening right now, don't use that as an excuse. Like you got to be good at your job, and this is the gear that we wear. You have to be in it, man. You have to be in it every single day, I say, to be efficient and effective at it. And if you have any questions, if you don't know, because that's another thing, right? A lot of people just don't know where to start, right? Like I just don't know where to start. I don't know anything about fitness. I didn't go to school for it. And I'm not talking about like a weekend class to get your personal trainer license or whatever, like all that bullshit, right? Like reach out, hit me up, shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm more than happy to help you, point you in the right direction. Doesn't necessarily have to be my program. I can put you in the direction of some other guys that I trust, like Spira and Logan and those guys. And we'll help you get you squared away, man. And shoot me a text, shoot me a message on Instagram. I don't care.
Nice.
I'd love to help you guys out. And the whole thing is just stay humble, stay hungry, and help people around you, man. And share what's been taught to you, right? Share what's been taught to you. Don't hoard information, and help everybody around you get better. But it's about your approach, man.
No, I love that message. And I didn't know that for a long time about sharing.
Yeah.
I used to be cocky, arrogant. I know everything. I don't want anybody else to know shit. So, because otherwise I can't look better than everybody. Yeah, it's not a way to good way to live your life.
Way different than I was 20 years ago. That's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother. How can people get a hold of you?
I mean, you can look me up on Instagram, Hardknox Sunday. Super easy. Or if you want, I mean, I don't give out my number. I don't give a shit. 786-597-3286. 1338. Shoot me a message. Obviously, tell me your name so I know who this is. And like, hey, I heard you on the Relentless Rejects podcast, so I know it's not spam or something because I'll block you. And yeah, man, I'm happy to help, man. Happy to help, and hit me up.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I want to sign up for your program, but it says that I need your social security number to sign up. Yeah. Speaking of, plug the programs one more time.
I mean, so you can just go on hardknoxsunday.com. It's my website. So I got Hardknox hitters, which people ask me like, hey, I want to use one of your programs. Which one should I start? So my first question is, how often are you in gear, and how long are you in gear each time? So if you're super new to getting in gear or whatever, I would recommend the Hardknox hitters program. But if like my smoke diver buddies, and like if you're just a fucking savage and shit, and you just want to bury your soul and take your soul and take souls, I would recommend the heavy. And literally it's 12 weeks, 5 workouts a week for both of those, $50. One of my friends is like, dude, that's like 84 cents a workout.
Right.
You pay it once. If you do sign up on the website, don't forget to put your email, because I have people forgetting to put their email, and then they shoot me a message like, hey, I never received it. I'm like, did you put your email? So follow instructions.
Attention
put your
to detail.
Email. Yeah.
That's a big thing for Baz too, right? With one back tour.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, hardknoxsunday.com or hardknoxsunday on Instagram, or shoot me a text, man. And again, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Oh man, it was my pleasure. Great conversation. We're gonna have so many more down the road.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait to bring you on for part 2. Maybe we can do it for whatever secret event you got coming up. We'll set up a table. We'll bring you on, put you on the mic.
Yeah, keep your eyes out, man. After October, we're gonna start putting out the word, and it's gonna be epic.
I'm intrigued, bro.
It's gonna take some souls for sure, but it's gonna be fucking badass.
All right, man. Well, shit, that's gonna wrap it for the Relentless Rejects podcast, episode 24. Thank you so much to our sponsor, very first sponsor, 48 Straight Supplements, John Chambliss. Reach out to them, look up them on Instagram, or go to their website. Once again, RR10 to get you 10% off at checkout. So if you found value in this show, please like, subscribe, and share, and support Marcos with Hardknox and everything that he's doing. Share it with like-minded individuals. We talked about tribe and surrounding yourself with the right people. This is the start right here. Share this with people, and then just, start getting after it. So until then, catch you next time. Relentless Rejects.
Later.